Thank you very much for coming along promptly. I think we will find more people who are having difficulty getting here and finding the car park and all the rest of it will be filtering in. I just want to say one or two words just to introduce the main events, the stars as it were. My name's Chris Wood. I'm a lecturer here with the Faculty of Technology, so we're acting in two ways here as a university. One is hosting the event, which we're delighted to do, but also, more importantly, we're part of this partnership, which we'll tell you a little bit more about, which is looking to build this network of business champions, which is what has drawn you here today.
We built this community originally around some courses that we designed with Chris, and we just had a couple of forums that we put together really in our kind of spare time, so it's really nice to be able to back it up with a tool with a bit of grunt behind it, so fantastic. I was at who was here at the previous event? There was a good few of you, wasn't there? I was horrendously ill that night, so hopefully I'm going to do a little bit of a more entertaining and better job tonight. But yeah, I wasn't too well that night, but the show went on just about and collapsed into Christmas, and I'm feeling a lot better now. So yeah, web stats. Okay, so on to the analytics part. I mean, let's add some sort of context to this. Good for you for turning up at an event that is about statistics. It shows a lot about your characters, and actually any of the people who know me know I'm a little bit of a big picture monkey. I'm not, as soon as the detail gets involved, I get a bit sleepy and start thinking about the next project. But the truth is, as you kind of probably guessed because you're here, the secret to me about e-business actually is a numbers game. It's really understanding what's going on your website. The people who've been on the program from the start and also been on some of the courses will understand that actually search and search engine optimization is not this kind of weird dark art. It's a science, it's predictable, and it is a numbers game as well. So we're going to be really sort of talking about trying to extract some value from those numbers, really. Hopefully that's why you're all kind of here, really. Okay, that's what most people think about stats. So he's done his best, but he's kind of eventually fallen asleep. And this is most of you driving your websites at this point. Now, maybe you guys are all different and you've all got analytics and stat count and a really good stat system running, and that's been the cornerstone of your business for a long time. Perhaps, but there aren't too many business websites that we come across with that respect. A few get interested in hits. Hits can mean lots of different things. We see stat counters just running on the home page and none of the deeper pages. People who say they run stats and actually never look at them. The truth is, unless you are kind of looking at your stats, you are flying your website blind. You might bumble your way into some spectacular success, and we've had a few that have, but the truth is, perhaps you need to kind of look a little bit more carefully about kind of what you're doing, really. So you're here, so I guess I'm preaching to the kind of converted, really. So let's look at this idea of what metrics and stats and the stat analysis are. When we talk about stats, a lot of these sort of terms are interchangeable, really. We're really talking about what you can measure on a website. Now, there might be a gross margin that actually comes out of getting a sale or getting an inquiry from a website. We're actually talking about the behaviours of people, of users on your website. What can that kind of tell you about how they see your website, where the failure points on your website are. So we're going to be talking about two things, a funnel and a path, which I'll get to in a little while, really. So stats, that's what you're kind of measuring. Metrics more kind of leads to, right, what are we measuring, why, and what are the objectives that we're setting at the end of that. So we do get kind of businesses that come along and just go, I just want to make a lot of money online. Okay, great. Now we need to break that down a little bit and look at the performance of your website and say things like, let's lower the bounce back rate. Okay, anybody, hands up who honestly knows what bounce back rate is? Anybody have a stab at explaining it? Go on, Nigel.
Come onto your home page and come straight off and then click through any other part of your website.
Yeah, straight onto a page and then immediately off, usually within sort of 5 seconds or something like that. Not a good thing, is it? The truth is, most people are happy, seem to be quite happy with a 50% bounce back rate. In other words, half of all the effort, half of all the traffic is kind of wasted. And they seem to say, most people say, well, just get us more traffic. Well, yeah, fine, let's work the traffic side of it. And we're going to do lots of events that are about search engine optimization and organic search and what's happening on Google. But actually, unless your machine, your website is efficient, then not enough people are going to reach the target area for you to get enough kind of business from it. Does this kind of make sense? Anybody got a website that's dropped out of Google over Christmas? A lot of the Nottingham people, perhaps a little bit further on than you guys, are coming back to us and saying, our website's dropped out. This is an absolute crisis, and we talked about it before at Christmas. There's this Google caffeine thing coming in. They're gearing up to, they're testing the next version of Google that's going to come in. So this is kind of even more important, because the two cornerstones of the next version of Google are between 5 and 10 times as much content as they've currently got within 12 months. So that means between 5 and 10 times as much competition for the top placings. So if you are doing well, there's competition coming in. If you're not, then there's competition coming in. And the second thing to say is that they're gearing up ready to be able to spider Twitter and Facebook and a lot of the sort of social media tools. So there's a big thing coming in search. So we don't want to turn tonight's event into search, but there's a big thing coming up is the sort of publishing interest transferring out of traditional websites, HTML websites, and into social media channels. And Google are desperate for you to see them as a credible way into this sort of search and social media. So big time stuff happening within the search engine industry, and you need to really be on the ball with your stats. And every visitor you manage to get to your website, we need to be as efficient as we can be, which is what this is really about. So, yeah, go on.
It's one of your first questions.
Yeah, absolutely.
You use the phrase drop out of Google. Do you mean just dropped off the first couple of pages of results?
Yeah, like,
rather than...
Yeah, they're position 1, 2, 3, and they're down on page 2, page 3, which, if you know how it breaks down, is pretty disastrous. You know, it's a kind of a 90% drop in traffic plus for a lot of people, even dropping just a few places. So yeah, we're getting a lot of customers who, and what it's called, I won't get into it now, it's called the Google Dance, and what's happening is that they're beta testing their next version, and it's showing some quite radical changes. Now they might kind of percolate back up again, but what it's showing is that don't be content if you've got a kind of position now, because it might be difficult for you to defend it unless you take search seriously and social media going forward. Is that okay on an issue, that? And we've got events specifically about that, really. So, why bother? Well, it's about all these things. It's about returning your return on your investment on your website. Big things, kind of, anybody doing pay-per-click at the moment? Yeah, we've got a customer starting on eChampions who's spending $1,000 a day on pay-per-click. We've got the same customer, though, is spending £1 million on, still spending £1 million on Yellow Pages. Yeah, well, you know, I mean, I hope they've renegotiated over the years, put it that way. But they're taking this whole thing kind of much more seriously. They say, I mean, if you want a direct a financial reason why you should do this and take this seriously, offline methods for them cost them £10.20 to make the phone ring. If they do it via pay-per-click, it's about £2. If they do it via organic search, it sounds free, but it's actually about £1 because of the cost of the resources and the staff they've got running. But that is a huge reduction in the cost of making the phone ring. Okay, so we're going to be looking at sort of cost reduction and lots of reasons why you should do it. What's eChampions going to do with these stats then? Well, we're going to do it on kind of 3 levels. You'll be pleased to hear we're not going to do all 3 levels tonight. Okay, there's going to be kind of 3 levels as we go through on this program. The first is kind of get it, as in get the point, get the idea, get how much is at stake, understand why you should do this, get you going, which is about tonight. So this is practically, if you haven't got Google Analytics on your website, or other stat packages are available, however we do recommend Google. It'd be good if we're all on a similar system, then we can easier to kind of compare things. We're going to show you how to get that onto your website tonight. So it should be something you can achieve before next month. Might take a little bit of half an hour help from your web designer to get it on there if you're not familiar with it. And get this idea going in your minds that the full eChampions, part of the value of it, not a threat, the value of it is that we share our performance stats. I'm not going to ask you for your gross margin and how much profit you're making and things like that. I'm going to ask you how you're performing on bounce rate. We're going to ask you month on month what you're doing on traffic levels, whether you're up or you're down, which pages people are looking at on your website, the average time they're spending on your website. Yeah, all these kind of stats, and allow you to understand and benchmark where you are compared to everyone else. And hopefully, as some people move on and they see other people's graphs in growth and theirs not, they might kind of get a bit more involved and go, okay, who is that? And can I have a chat with them? Alistair mentioned groups. We'll come to kind of groups in a minute. We're going to try and get you to form cliques.